Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and for the last 7 days, I've been driving the 2025 Polaris Slingshot R. Up front is a 2.0 liter inline 4, and down below is a 5-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video because I got to have this Slingshot for an entire week. Actually, I get it for 2 weeks, which has been absolutely amazing. Polaris has facelifted this for the 2025 model year, and so we'll talk about some of those changes, and this has to be one of the wackiest, one of the wildest vehicles on sale today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zachpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 2-liter inline 4 under the hood. Well, several years ago, Polaris actually moved their engine manufacturing in-house for the Slingshot. The old Slingshots, the original Slingshots, when they debuted in the 2010s, had a 2.4 liter Ecotec that was borrowed from GM. Well, for 2020, they actually started producing their own engines for the Slingshot, dropped the displacement down to a 2 liter, and honestly, it absolutely zings. It is such a fun drivetrain in the Slingshot, and I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It's very revvy, it has a strong power band, and it does die up towards the top, but this isn't really a straight line speed car, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. It's actually not a car at all. This is an auto cycle. Like I said, paired to it is a 5-speed manual transmission. Now, a lot of the journalists and a lot of the influencers that get these from Polaris to review and drive don't want the manual. They either don't know how to drive or they don't like it. This manual transmission is one of, if not the best feeling manual transmission available on sale today. It is so notchy, it is so clicky, it is so confident. It has an absolutely wonderful throw into gear. I love it. I want to marry this transmission, which is funny because the automatic transmission that comes in these is not good at all. It is very lazy. It's an automated manual, so it feels very funky and different, and I was not happy with it. I despise the automatic transmissions here in the Slingshot, but this might be one of the best manuals. It rivals the Mazda Miata and the Honda Civic Si in terms of how it feels, and that is David fighting with Goliaths, because those names have solidified how good they are, and the Slingshot is the new kid on the block when it comes to the manual transmission, and it does it better than most. Last but not least, the Slingshot is, of course, rear wheel drive. That's right, it only has one rear wheel, it is belt driven, and has a 305 tire. However, you can still get that tire loose very, very easily. You do have to be kind of careful in these cars. If you floor it, it will spin that rear tire on a moment's notice on a dry, warm day. It will do it. And so I always tell people, be careful with that. It can get away from you relatively easily, but if you like that sort of thing, you're in for a good treat. How does it feel to drive a Polaris Slingshot? Well, it's wild. It is such a senses automobile, meaning it engages all of your senses. You smell everything, you feel everything, you hear everything. The exhaust dumps right by the passenger's foot. And most of all, the biggest thing is that everyone looks at you and everyone stares at you. If you don't want attention, do not buy a Polaris Slingshot, because you will get all the questions. The neighbors will come outside and ask you what the heck it is. Every gas station fill-up is going to be a conversation, and some people want that. You might want that in your life, and that's totally cool. But if you don't like the spotlight, man, this is not for you. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 2 physical gauges and a screen. Off to the left is my speedometer, and off to the right is the tachometer. Now, I do get a screen in the center, and you can change the first and second line of the screen to show you different things, and I'll cycle through that now. If you're familiar with motorcycles or side-by-sides, this is going to feel very at home for you. On the steering wheel, on the left, we do have our volume, pause, play button, and skip track, and off to the right, we have our cruise control as well as our pages icon for the center screen. We also get this red Slingshot button. This will either put it into Slingshot mode or comfort mode, at the touch of a button. We don't get any airbag here. That is something to note in the Polaris Slingshot. It does not come with an airbag. Off to the left of me, I get nothing. You get no door, no side sill. Everyone is gonna see your ashy kneecaps, so keep that in mind. But I do have a mirror, which is nice, but they are manual mirrors. Moving into the center, we get our ride command infotainment. This will Bluetooth to your phone. It has Apple CarPlay, and I'll cycle through a couple of different things here. It has navigation and some screens and whatnot, which is all very, very nice. However, this is paired to the new, for 2025, Rockford Fosgate sound system. This is an absolutely bumping sound system. It goes louder than you'll ever need it, so no need to modify the sound system anymore. But my favorite feature is the fact that it automatically turns the music down when you come to a stop and when you start again. You can adjust this in the settings, but this is the nicest, best feature that they've added. For all of us normal folk that don't own a Slingshot, everyone around you, it actually turns down the music for you, and then when you start going again, it will turn it back up. Very considerate and very nice to see. We then get our start stop button, our traction control, hazard switch, and light switch, a little cubby for your phone that has some anti-slip material, which is nice, and the shifter. As I mentioned, the shifter is absolutely lovely. Such a wonderful, wonderful shifter. Ugh. It's so good. I can talk about this thing for hours. It literally might be the best shifter in the world. It is so, so good. Then we have cup holders. We'll do a big friggin' bottle test, and like all the other Slingshots, it fails, so they didn't update that for the facelift. And then we do have cubbies behind the seats. These are for your helmets when you park. They're not huge. They do fit helmets very easily. However, don't anticipate picking much else up. If you're gonna go get groceries, take your partner's car. This is not the grocery getter. And so speaking of which, we don't have a trunk. We don't have anything around the back. No extra cargo space. You do get a decently sized glove box, which is helpful, but again, I would not rely on that. The seats have been pretty comfortable. I'm 5'11" and I fit in here pretty well. However, I have the seat all the way back. So if you are 6 foot or over, I would highly recommend sitting in one before you make your purchase, because I could see if you're 6'3", 6'4", you might not fit in here all too well, and that could definitely be an issue. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and before we do the walk around, they actually updated the front end of the Polaris Slingshot. Here's the pre-facelift, here's the facelift. You can kind of see that difference. They made it a little bit more aggressive, changed the looks of it. However, to the layman, you're not gonna really notice too much of a difference up front, but let's do the walk around. I love the fact that this is finished in gray. They sell them in some very loud, flashy colors, and that's just not me. I like the sort of Batmobile look to it. However, I still get tons of attention. I still get tons of eyes because it just looks so strange, and they see someone driving with a helmet and a big rear wheel, and it still garners tons of attention while driving around the streets, especially here in Chicago, where we don't see them as much. Maybe I could fly under the radar in Miami or LA, but here in Chicago, this gets every single look. One thing about the exterior I really like is the gas cap. They've actually changed. So previously, the gas cap was kind of sunken in, and it was really hard to turn because you had to use the ends of your fingers. This is actually a lot easier to turn. They raised it up a little bit, which is just one of those livability things that just makes it a little bit better. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think not only driving the updated Slingshot, but having one for a week? I've driven this over multiple days. I've taken this to the doctor. I've taken this to lunch. I've taken this to the grocery store. I've driven it at night. I've driven it in a little bit of drizzle, which was no fun. I really love this thing. This is an absolutely wonderful, once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience. Yes, it is very pricey. $35,000 is not a sum of money that I'm willing to throw out on a car that I can only drive a few times a year. But that's not the target market. This isn't trying to replace a Miata. This isn't trying to replace your daily. While you can plate it and drive it to Jewel Osco, that's not the purpose of it. This is meant to be a second car, a third car, a fourth car, a fifth car. This isn't something that someone owns one and only car and it's a Slingshot. Maybe if you live in SoCal where it rains once a trimester, you could get away with it. But here, this is a secondary car, and so this is just a fun car. Would I pay $35,000 for this? Probably not. However, something that makes the Slingshot special is A, how it drives. It's really sporty, it's really fun, and it offers something that no other car at this price point can offer. When I'm driving down the road, I can see physically the front tires. My entire body is exposed to the elements. I'm driving a traditional stick shift. I truly feel like Ayrton Senna when I'm driving down the road. I feel like a Formula One driver, at least back when they shifted their own gears on a stick. You wear helmets so you feel like a race car driver. You get this amazing sense. You feel the speed, you feel the adrenaline. Everything feels so much more intense in the Slingshot. And the biggest thing is the fact that it is a secondary car, so it makes every drive very purposeful and very enjoyable. You don't get used to the Slingshot because you're not driving it to work every day. You don't get tired of it because you don't have to go and take it to class. You don't have to take it every single day. You're not stuck in traffic in this thing. I mean, maybe you might get stuck in traffic, but you know what I mean. There's a sense of occasion when you drive this car. You feel something special, and so the drive becomes more intimate. It becomes an experience where when you drive your Toyota Corolla to and from work, you're not thinking about the drive. You're not thinking about the feelings at your fingertips and toe tips. That's what makes the Slingshot special. This is now an event. My drive today is now an event. For better or for worse, driving it on the highway is one of the worst experiences. Above 70 miles an hour, it does not feel good. I do not recommend taking this thing above 70. But a Sunday drive to go get ice cream, there's nothing else I want to be in. This is what a Jeep Wrangler should be. You should not daily drive a Jeep Wrangler. They are terrible on the road. But to take the top off and go to the beach, Jeep Wranglers are great. That's what this car is, and it doesn't pretend to be anything else. Polaris doesn't try to sell you this car and say you can daily drive it. It does everything. They say no, it doesn't do everything. But the one thing that it's meant to do, it does really, really well. It offers you a very unique experience that other cars just don't. That's the Polaris Slingshot. That's what they're all about, and that's why people absolutely love them. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Polaris for sending me this Slingshot for 2 weeks at my house. It caused a huge stir in my neighborhood. Everyone came out and asked what it was. They've been wonderful to work with. Huge thank you. I didn't get the guy's name. There was a guy that flatbedded this from Detroit to Chicago so I could review it, and he drove back the same night. God bless that guy, whoever he was. And thank you guys for watching. I had to park and take the helmet off. I was getting a little hot in here. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.